Great Northwoods to the Rockbound Coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, we'll have an update on the investigation into the tragic fire at Robbins Lumber in Searsmont. Plus, Penquist hosted an event at Milford Place in Bangor to celebrate the construction of its new affordable housing units. We'll have the details ahead. And Thomas College and the University of New England celebrated their graduations over the weekend as well. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Janessa Bishop. Craig Colson is off for the day. We'll have those stories and much more coming up, and as always, we thank you for joining us. It looks like it'll be a mostly cloudy day with temperatures in the 60s. Let's start off this morning by getting a first check of our forecast. Devin Biggs joins us now.
Alrighty, Janessa, thank you very much. Happy Monday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Old Town Redemption Center, now offering a 10% bonus on your returnables and a monthly $100 drawing. Alrighty, here we go. No advisories in effect. We're just watching some cloud cover moving in from the northwest and going toward the south and east. Overall, we will be watching for some rain showers that will be developing coming up later on today, moving from the northwest and going toward the south and east. We can see those rain showers developing right about in here, and even some thunderstorms showing up too. We have some lightning showing up. That lightning will be disappearing coming up later on. Futurecast showing the clouds and even the rain showers moving in later on this afternoon. We'll lose the rain showers coming up, some clouds and even some fog developing later on tonight. As for the wind, it won't be much of a problem today. Maybe a few gusts coming up during the afternoon period, up to around 15 miles per hour. The winds overall backing off later on tonight, but really picking up for everybody as we head towards your Tuesday. But for today, mid-60s, mostly cloudy rain showers, and that south wind getting up to about 5 to 10 miles per hour. The hourly forecast moving forward, clouds today, chances for rain showers. Temperature is in the 60s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Janessa?
Thank you, Devin. We'll see you a little later on. Well, the investigation into the fire at Robbins Lumber in Searsmont is underway as officials work to determine what caused the fire and subsequent explosion that killed one firefighter and injured several others. Investigators from the State Fire Marshal's office were joined by special agents from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives National Response Team Sunday morning. The Fire Marshal's office shared an update on Sunday afternoon that fire investigators from both of those agencies will conduct a joint scene examination focused on determining the origin and the cause. Operations at the scene are expected to continue throughout the week, and the scene will remain secured. The fire and explosion at the Searsmont Mill on Friday morning was unprecedented, drawing dozens of first responders to the scene. Initial crews called on backup, describing the scene as a mass casualty incident. Our Callie Warren provides us with a recap of what transpired in Searsmont on Friday and on Saturday.
The Searsmont Fire Department was dispatched down to Robbins Lumber Company.
This is a mass casualty incident.
A fire at Robbins Lumber at 506 Main Street in Searsmont claimed the life of an on-duty firefighter, injured several, and left crews battling hot spots well into the following day.
Chaotic scene initially, and not because of the efforts of the first responders, but because of the magnitude of the fire involvement.
The Searsmont Fire Department was the first to arrive just after 10 a.m. Friday, with multiple other Waldo County volunteer departments responding to knock down what started as a fire inside a silo in the mill.
There's been a huge explosion. The silo just exploded. Multiple firefighters injured and burning.
During their suppression efforts, an explosion occurred, causing a mass casualty incident. One firefighter was found deceased on the scene, identified as 27-year-old Andrew Cross of the Morrill Fire Department. Several individuals were initially reported to be in serious and critical condition.
How many injuries do we have?
Known at least 10, if not more. A lot of people are third degree.
A statement on Saturday from Maine Health Medical Center in Portland says that personnel continue to treat 8 patients who were injured. 2 were treated and transferred. All employees of the mill were accounted for.
Buildings can be replaced, employees cannot. And the fire department has done a tremendous job.
Dozens of agencies helped assist from across the state, providing mutual aid, while community members came together to offer food, water, and support.
Here in Waldo County, most of our fire departments are made up of volunteers. They're awfully incredible, dedicated individuals.
At 2:15 p.m. Saturday, command was terminated, resulting in 28 difficult hours fighting that fire.
There were 3 towns that each lost one apparatus, so that's definitely a hole that'll need to be filled, but not as important as the people that are hurt.
The investigation into the cause of the fire is underway. In Searsmont, Callie Warren, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Now we turn our attention to the Morrill firefighter who died at the scene on Friday, Andrew Cross. The Liberty Fire and Rescue Department shared a video showing the somber moment Cross's body was removed from the scene of the fire on Friday. We're going to show you some of that footage. The fire department posted the video to social media, sharing that every individual present at the scene of Robbins Lumber stopped and united to facilitate the beginning of Andrew Cross's transportation to Augusta. The department added that one of their firefighters completed basic fire school last year with Cross as his training partner and is deeply affected by this loss. They noted that this underscores the strong bonds formed during training and collaborative work, a sentiment that becomes known when viewing this video. The following day, the Maine State Police, alongside dozens of fire, EMS, and police agencies from all across the state, took part in an honorable transfer of 27-year-old Andrew Cross. This was the scene from Saturday's procession in Belfast.
I just think that Andrew was the type of guy that if you knew him for 5 minutes, you had a friend. I have a 12-year-old son, and when he gets older, I'd like to have him be just like Andrew.
It meant a lot. There were people lined up all the way from Augusta to here along the side of the road as the procession went by, so I think that meant a lot, and I hope that means a lot to the family.
We're all here to support, these families, and we hope that, we hope that by being here, they can understand that we stand with them.
We're just kind of trying to understand it and absorbing the loss.
It's just a terrible loss for everybody. Been an emotional 24 hours, and we're not done.
The fire marshal's office yesterday said they're also monitoring the conditions of patients receiving care at hospitals throughout New England, many of whom remain in critical condition. We're also learning more about a firefighter who is recovering after sustaining serious burns from Friday's explosion. Firefighter Catherine Page is a member of the Belmont Fire Department and a lieutenant for the Northport Fire Department. She was at the scene on Friday when the silo exploded and was severely burned. That's according to her husband, Belmont firefighter Paul Page. According to Belmont's fire chief, Ron Harford, Catherine is a kind of firefighter they can always count on, and she was named Firefighter of the Year back in 2025. Catherine Page was one of the many who was transported to Maine Medical Center in Portland. Her husband shared an update yesterday that she is responsive but is on a breathing tube and will need several surgeries and skin grafts. A GoFundMe has also been set up to support her anticipated long road to recovery. That information can be found on our website at foxbangor.com. Well, officials from the town of Searsmont have shared that the town will be establishing an official relief fund in the coming days to support individuals and families affected by the Robbins Lumber fire. Officials are also warning that many people and unofficial fundraisers have also started circulating online. The town shared in a social media post that they are encouraging everyone to be vigilant and to double check the source of any fundraiser before donating. And once the official Town Relief Fund is fully set up, official donation instructions will appear on the town's Facebook page and on their website. Later on in the broadcast, we'll share with you some of the people who were actually out supporting those in need over the past couple of days. Well, in other news this morning, authorities have recovered the body of a paddleboarder who went missing on Graham Lake earlier this month. According to the Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife, the body of Grayson Moat, 20 of Ellsworth, was found Friday evening by a family member who was out searching for him by boat. He was reportedly found dead approximately 0.2 of a mile from the shore of Graham Lake. The intense water and air search for Moat began when he had gone missing while paddleboarding on Graham Lake on Tuesday, May 5th. Authorities say that his body had been transported to the state medical examiner's office. Well, in response to the tragic death of Grayson Moat, the Ellsworth community is now stepping up to offer support for that family. On Wednesday, Helen's Restaurant in Ellsworth will host a benefit spaghetti dinner. The owner of Helen's Restaurant shared that she's known the family for decades, and she says this is a profound loss that resonates throughout the entire community. All of the money raised will go to the Moat family to help with funeral arrangements or other expenses.
It's something to us that family just should not have to think about, and we're all happy to help and donate so that's one less thing that they have to worry about.
There will also be a silent auction there. More information can be found on the Helen's Restaurant of Ellsworth Facebook page. The dinner will be held from 4:30 to 6:30, and again, that will be held on Wednesday. Well, multiple people have been displaced and a residence was badly damaged following an early morning fire in Brewer yesterday. According to Captain Joe Dowdy with the Brewer Fire Department, crews responded to 508 South Main Street in Brewer around 1:30 a.m. for a structure fire. Upon arrival, they found heavy fire coming from the back of the structure. According to Captain Dowdy, this was a 3-unit building with 5 tenants home at the time. He says everyone made it out safely before crews arrived on the scene and that nobody was injured.
We all work together with cooperation from Bangor, Orrington, Eddington, Holden, and Dedham. We all worked together and extinguished the fire and knocked it down and took care of it.
The building has not been deemed a total loss, but it did sustain significant damage, and the cause of the fire is currently under investigation. The time now is 8:12. Coming up next on Good Morning Maine, a new chapter was unveiled at Millinocket Regional Hospital as they highlighted their new ER department. We'll have more ahead. But first, let's take another look at the forecast. For today, mostly cloudy with a chance of rain, temperatures in the mid-60s. Overnight tonight, partly cloudy with temperatures in the high 40s. And for tomorrow, scattered showers and a chance of thunderstorms, highs around 87. We'll be right back.
Even if you have moderate to severe eczema, you can feel the rhythm, feel the flow. And Dupixent helps you feel the heal. It helps calm the key source of inflammation under the skin that can cause eczema. Some adults saw fast itch relief after the first dose and long-lasting clear skin at 1 year. Many even saw 90% clear skin. Severe allergic reactions, including skin reactions, can occur. Get help right away for face, mouth, tongue, or throat swelling, wheezing, or trouble breathing. Tell your doctor right away of new or worsening eye problems like eye pain or vision changes, skin symptoms, joint aches and pain, or a parasitic infection. Don't change or stop other treatments without talking to your doctor. Stay ahead of eczema and help heal your skin from within. Dupixent, the #1 prescribed biologic by dermatologists and allergists. Ask your eczema specialist about Dupixent today.
It's mowing season. And Bad Boy Mowers has the best lineup in the game. Built to win with more power, advanced engineering, and performance that never quits. Whether you're playing on this field or this field. So this mowing season, raise your game and join the team. Bad Boy, mow with an attitude.
Thousands of kids like Caroline receive life-changing care at Northern Light Eastern Maine Medical Center each year, the only full-service pediatric program north of Portland. You can help support them by joining the Summer Classic for Maine Kids Golf Tournament. happening July 31st at Bangor Municipal Golf Course, benefiting the Children's Miracle Network at Eastern Maine Medical Center. Every dollar raised supports pediatric care today, tomorrow, and for years to come. Ready to tee up for a great cause? Visit northernlight.org/4kids to learn more and register today.
After years of planning, a boost to one of rural Maine's healthcare systems came to fruition on Friday as Millinocket Regional Hospital unveiled its new ER department. Our Doug Banks with that story.
We are here for you, and we're not going anywhere.
A new chapter for one rural Maine community in its healthcare system was unveiled on Friday as Millinocket Regional Hospital held a ribbon-cutting ceremony for its new ER department, doubling the number of working bays, expanding the footprint of the department by more than 11,000 square feet, and bringing state-of-the-art technology to provide state-of-the-art care.
It takes a village to build something of this magnitude in rural America.
The ceremonial groundbreaking took place on New Year's Eve 2024. Around $13 million in congressionally directed spending went into the project and was provided by Senator Susan Collins.
The generous contributions to the new emergency department received from so many individuals, foundations, businesses, organizations demonstrate how much this hospital means to this region.
The opening of this modernized emergency department marks a significant step forward in our organization and for the community we serve.
The total cost of the project was around $17 million. In early June, hospital officials say they'll be transitioning operations from the old ER to the new ER.
Then the current space will be renovated, and once the renovation of the current ER is completed, the two sections will be joined together to make one large emergency department.
In Millinocket, Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, nearly 1,400 students graduated from the University of New England on Saturday. According to a school spokesperson, members of this year's graduating class represented all of Maine's 16 counties, 49 U.S. states and territories, and 6 countries. Dan McCormick of Spectrum Healthcare Partners, longtime UNE trustee and former chair of the UNE Board of Trustees, delivered the commencement address. Nearly 1/3 of the undergraduates this year were first-generation college students, according to school officials. Well, more than 200 students officially graduated from Thomas College Saturday as well. According to a school spokesperson, this year's graduates include those from its undergraduate and graduate programs, and historically, 73% of Thomas College graduates stay right here in Maine. The commencement address was delivered by Bill Burke, founder of the Optimism Institute. Saturday marked Thomas College's 132nd commencement ceremony. A local organization hosted a community event to celebrate the newest affordable housing developments for seniors right here in Bangor. Our Alexa Kennedy has more.
Penquis, a Maine community-based organization, hosted an event at Milford Place in Bangor to celebrate the construction of its newest affordable housing units for older adults. The project will bring 40 single-bedroom apartments to the community and is expected to open in April 2027. Community leaders, project partners, and supporters gathered for tours and a ceremonial hammer and nail signing to mark the milestone.
What we know in Maine is that we have a real lack of affordable housing for all ages, but in particular for older Mainers.
Operations manager for Penquis, Peter Malia, says rising costs and inflation continue to impact seniors' fixed incomes, making housing inaccessible for many.
We are definitely seeing that trend take place locally. If you look at our shelters, the amount of older adults who are relying on our shelters is increasing faster.
Hay says the development will set aside 8 units for individuals from the Bangor area homeless shelter.
A lot of variables really are pushing against the feasibility of this project, but we continue to persevere.
Malia says affordable housing projects are increasingly difficult when navigating changes in construction costs and interest rates.
The community, it helps folks that may be insecure about housing as they age and be able to remain in the community, and that's the biggest part of this.
Rogers says the development includes community rooms to encourage socialization, keeping older individuals active and involved.
Being together with 40 other residents in a community and having dignity and long-term housing is just, it helps people to stay healthy and thrive. thrive, and that matters so much to us as an organization.
Hayes says Milford Place was made possible through endless community support.
A project like this takes a lot of partners, local, state, and federal, and it's because of the work and commitment of many that got us here.
In Bangor, Alexa Kennedy, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
The time now is 8:20. After the break, the hantavirus cruise ship arrived in port. We'll have more information about the crew quarantine coming up. Plus, turning our attention back to Searsmont, we'll show you how the community is rallying behind first responders as Good Morning Maine continues.
Dreaming of a new garage or custom build? Patriot Landscaping and Construction delivers from frame to finish. Expert craftsmanship, durable designs, and quality you can trust, we get it done right. Call Patriot Landscaping and Construction today. Let's build your future together.
We've got a 100-year-old company here, and it's because of the service, the quality, and the experience. It gets done right.
I think we've been doing it for so long. The only thing that we do, that when we walk into a room, we automatically know how to treat that window. We can take any product that the customer's looking for and make it work in just about any situation that they present us with. So
There's no reason to be overwhelmed when we can help you through it.
we're not going anywhere. We've been around for 100 years.
Fires, floods, burst pipes. Disasters happen, but the mess they leave behind doesn't have to last. For 40 years, Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration has been there to help Mainers get back to the closest to normal as they can. When your property is at its worst, Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration is at their best, and they have been for 4 decades. Put your trust in the Bouchard team. Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration. You keep the memories, we'll handle the rest.
NASCAR Powerball. The chase to 1 million is on.
Finalists, are you ready?
Don't miss your chance to collect cash prizes on your way to an all-new destination where you could take home $1 million.
Insane! The winner is contestant number 2! I can't believe it!
The official lottery game of NASCAR is back for the chase.
Purchase your Maine Lottery Powerball tickets with Power Play and Double Play. Enter them into the Reward Me Club today.
Dreaming of a new garage or custom build? Patriot Landscaping and Construction delivers from frame to finish. Expert craftsmanship, durable designs, and quality you can trust, we get it done right. Call Patriot Landscaping and Construction today. Let's build your future together.
Now we're going to shine a light upon the nearby community members stepping up to support those impacted by the Robbins Lumber Mill incident. Folks from the Belfast VFW could be found outside of the Belfast Co-op, set up to get donations from those shopping and then be distributed to injured first responders and their families, as well as local fire departments based on their needs.
And not everybody understands that every time a firefighter leaves his house in the morning or responds on a call, he don't know what he's going to walk into, and he don't know what the situation is going to be.
VFW members say typically they host this fundraiser for veterans, but they wanted to help out their nearby community impacted by tragedy. And there were folks in Searsmont rallying around first responders and affected families, and they wasted no time gathering donations as the scene on Friday unfolded. Our Callie Warren has more on that side of the story.
I think even our people, don't you think?
It was our people that wasted no time.
The town.
Our customers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The town is so ready to help and jump in.
It may have been a devastating Friday for those in Searsmont, but the rallying of community support made sure that nobody went through it alone.
And we had people calling and just saying, how can we help? How can we help?
Fraternity Village Store is the center of this small town and quickly became the gathering point for those looking to nurture their neighbors in a time of need.
A lot of people want to donate. A lot of people have called and asked to donate, and so we've just kind of made this the local point to drop off things. And
we've had someone from Bangor come and drop off water, and people are really coming together.
The parking lot bustled with people all afternoon, bringing in case after case of water, sports drinks, and food for the immense amount of first responders battling a fire at Robbins Lumber Mill. Community members say it was simply the right thing to do.
When there's a traumatic event, there's no hesitation to pull together and do what needs to be done. At the end of the day, everybody here that's showing up, You know, they have family that's there, they've got friends that's there, and if it's not a direct impact like that, you know, they've got friends of friends that are involved in one way or another.
Locals say it was certainly a difficult day.
You know, we know so many of them, so.
Yeah, I mean, we've had their kids working here, so
yeah.
It is definitely devastating.
But the strength of their small town, coupled with statewide support, kept them going.
It's the little things that add up. It doesn't have to be something that costs. It doesn't have to be something that you're giving up for somebody else. It's just a matter of time. A little bit of time is all it takes to make a big difference.
To leave a donation and help support firefighters, first responders, and those impacted by the Robbins Lumber Mill fire, you can visit or call the Fraternity Village store in Searsmont. More information will also be available on our website, foxbangor.com. In Searsmont, Callie Warren, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Now let's get a full look at our forecast. Meteorologist Devin Biggs is in with the latest.
Alrighty, Janessa, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Old Town Redemption Center, now offering a 10% bonus on your returnables and a monthly $100 drawing. Alrighty, here we go. Wave height's not looking too bad at around 2 feet according to the buoys. We have no advisories in effect along the coast or even on land either, so we're looking pretty good this morning. We just have some clouds developing, so we will have clouds today, and we're watching some rain showers that's developing as well. Even a few lightning bolts with this wave of rain too. We will just have rain showers today with temperatures overall that will be in the 60s. A little bit more fanfare across parts of the Midwest this morning. Meanwhile, for us today, we will have clouds, some rain showers developing. We'll lose some of the clouds overnight, although we will be partly cloudy overnight. Some opportunities for some fog overnight as well. As we head towards your Tuesday, some rain to the north, showers and thunderstorms for us later on into the daytime period too. Now as we head towards Tuesday night into parts of Wednesday, again, clouds not looking too bad. Notice some rain across the northwestern parts of the state by early Wednesday morning. Now through Tuesday, notice there is a light green shade right here. That is a marginal threat for some of the storms that get on the stronger side. Gusty winds and hail not out of the question for the areas highlighted and not light green. Meanwhile, moving forward, a lot of rainfall throughout the week as well. Mainly areas that could see around a ½ inch to even over an inch possible between now and Thursday possible throughout the week. So we will be keeping an eye on that. Meanwhile, I haven't dug out the muggy meter in a while. It's going to get a little humid coming up Tuesday into parts of Wednesday. We'll have some dew points getting up into the mid 60s. We haven't talked about that in a while, but that will be coming up for us. But coming up for today, here we go. We have mid 60s, mostly cloudy, some rain showers, and that south wind getting up to about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Overnight, partly cloudy, areas of dense fog with lows in the upper 40s, and that south breeze at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then for tomorrow, scattered showers and some thunderstorms. Look at this high temperature. Upper 80s on the way, and that south wind getting up to about 20 miles per hour. And let's check out your extended forecast for your Wednesday. More showers and thunderstorms, highs in the mid 80s. Warm again, low 60s. We cool off Thursday, cold front passing through under a mostly sunny sky. Partly cloudy coming up Friday with highs in the mid 60s.
This Nissan lineup goes where you take it. Vehicles built with oomph, torque, traction, and yeah, full control. That's the power of a Nissan. Now's the time to drive. Nissan, #1 in new vehicle quality. Well-qualified buyers get 0% APR on select model trims or get up to $4,750 total savings on Frontier.
This election, we can't afford to make the wrong choice. There's only one candidate with a 100% pro-choice voting record who can defeat Paul LePage and stop Trump, Joe Baldacci. As Bangor mayor, Joe fought LePage, and in the state Senate, he protected Mainers from ICE. Now Joe's running to stop Trump's illegal wars and health care cuts and deliver affordable health care for all.
I've taken on Paul LePage before and won. Join me. I'm Joe Baldacci, and I approve this message.
Why should your new floor come from Carpet One? Because we're passionate about the spaces our neighbors call home. We're part of your community, and we're also part of the world's largest cooperative of independently owned and operated flooring stores. So you can be sure you'll get great selection and outstanding value with every installation. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, tile, or luxury vinyl, our experts take the guesswork out of choosing the right floor. We're your local Carpet One Floor and Home, the one store for your perfect floor.
You guys ready to crush it?
This is MasterChef Global Gauntlet.
Welcome to the floor
as you've never seen it before.
Let's do it. I've been waiting on this.
We are so excited to see what the world has to offer.
That's my family history on a plate.
It's good.
A game-changing twist. The territory freeze.
Disco ball.
Can of worms.
High five.
You made that look easy.
MasterChef Global Gauntlet, followed by The Floor. All new Wednesdays on Fox.
President Trump has issued a new warning to Iran, suggesting time is running out to reach a peace deal. The president saying in an interview Iran can make a deal or they can get annihilated. ABC's Lionel Moyes is in New York with the latest.
This morning, President Trump with a new threat to Iran, warning time is running out to reach a peace deal. Trump saying, quote, they better get moving fast or there won't be anything left of them. The president posting what appears to be AI-generated images of him pressing a red button with explosions and a mushroom cloud on screens around him. Oil prices rising overnight after a drone attack on a nuclear plant in the United Arab Emirates. With the Memorial Day holiday approaching, gas prices here at home now averaging around $4.50 a gallon. Republicans acknowledging little can be done to lower prices beyond reopening the Strait of Hormuz.
So as soon as we get that straightened out, we will get back to the kitchen table issues, the economic issues that we put in place to make the economy grow.
Do I worry about gas prices? Yes. But President Trump's right. The biggest threat to the stability in the world is a nuclear-armed Iran, and whatever price we have to pay, we will pay.
Rising gas prices causing some drivers to change their holiday plans.
I was going to take my dogs to Arizona, but now I'm going to take them to Asheville.
A AAA survey finds half of drivers in Michigan are allowing their tanks to get closer to E than usual before filling up. But experts warn that's not a good idea.
I could definitely understand how people be reluctant to fill up their tank, particularly happen to be at a station where the price is not the best. So they may want to skimp on not filling all the way up, but you have to be careful about not running out of gas.
As for Iran, President Trump did not give a new deadline for Iran's response as he has done in the past. Last week, the president called the ceasefire with Iran unbelievably weak. Lionel Moyes, ABC News, New York.
The hantavirus-hit cruise ship MV Hondius arrived at the port of Rotterdam this morning, where it will be disinfected and its crew members will then go into quarantine. Last week, the passengers on board were taken off the ship and into quarantine, but local authorities said quarantine facilities had been set up for some of the non-Dutch crew, though it was not clear yet if they would stay there for the full recommended 42-day quarantine period. The Dutch-flagged luxury cruise ship had been carrying around 150 passengers and crew from 23 countries when a cluster of severe respiratory illnesses among those passengers was first reported to the World Health Organization on May 2nd. 3 people, a Dutch couple and a German national, have died since the start of that outbreak. Well, a chaotic morning commute in America's biggest city, the largest commuter railroad service in the country, is shut down, with workers on strike demanding a raise and more health care benefits. Here's ABC's Allison Cossack.
What do we want? Contract. When do we want it? Now.
It's a morning commute nightmare. This morning, some 250,000 people who ride the nation's largest commuter rail system to work each day need to find a different way to get to work.
I can't imagine what people are going to be doing on Monday.
Unionized workers for New York's Long Island Railroad are on strike, demanding a pay raise of up to 5% and lower health care costs. The rail system is massive, 126 stations, 700 miles of track.
The railroad is the lifeblood of Long Island. Without it, life as we know it is simply not possible.
The MTA, which operates the railroad, says our last offer literally gave them everything they said they wanted in terms of pay, but they rejected even that. But the union saying this strike would not have happened if the MTA and LIRR offered our members the reasonable terms the government recommended multiple times.
We apologize, but we didn't want to do this. We've been negotiating, and it finally came to the point, sadly, we had to do this.
Shuttle buses are being offered to get people to the New York City subway, but officials are urging people to work from home if possible. Allison Cossack, ABC News, New York.
Coming up on the second half of the newscast, we'll learn all about yoga classes happening this month, hosted by Mainly Zen. This and more as Good Morning Maine continues.
There are so many fun things to do in Maine. Now you can enjoy more for less. Check out half-off deals from foxbangor.com.
Located on Wilson Street in Brewer, Yoshi Japanese Restaurant, where you'll find only the best sushi, Asian favorites, and specialty crafted cocktails that will satisfy anyone. Try tatami seating for an immersive experience. Yoshi Japanese Restaurant, bringing delicious traditions to you.
There's a limited supply available. It's on sale right now. Save with half-off deals from foxbangor.com.
In Maine, your pavement takes a beating. That's why Sturgis Construction does it right, from the ground up. Specializing in asphalt paving, seal coating, and site prep. We build surfaces designed to handle harsh winters, heavy use, and everything in between. Whether it's a residential driveway or commercial lot, we deliver a finish that lasts. Protection, performance, professional results. Sturgis Construction. Asphalt done right.
You're watching Fox 22, Bangor.
New York's Metropolitan Museum of Art says it will merge with the Neue Gallery. The collection is founded by Ronald Lauder. He is the heir to the Estee Lauder business and a former U.S. ambassador to Austria. Among the iconic pieces that will join the Met, Gustav Klimt's Shimmering Woman in Gold from 1907. Neither museum disclosed those financial arrangements just yet. Donald Lauder's daughter Jane is set to marry the incoming Fed chair Kevin Warsh. The Met said that it will assume ownership and operation of Lauder's 25-year-old museum in 2028, informally renaming it to the Met Neue Gallery. Well, now let's turn things right back over to meteorologist Devin Biggs.
Alrighty, Janessa, thank you very much. Happy Monday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Old Town Redemption Center. Now offering a 10% bonus on your returnables and a monthly $100 drawing. Alrighty, here we go. No advisories in effect. We're just watching some cloud cover moving in from the northwest and going toward the south and east. Overall, we will be watching for some rain showers that will be developing coming up later on today, moving from the northwest and going toward the south and east. We can see those rain showers developing right about in here, and even some thunderstorms showing up too. We have some lightning showing up. That lightning will be disappearing coming up later on. Futurecast showing the clouds and even the rain showers moving in later on this afternoon. We'll lose the rain showers coming up, some clouds and even some fog developing later on tonight. As for the wind, it won't be much of a problem today. Maybe a few gusts coming up during the afternoon period, up to around 15 miles per hour. The winds overall backing off later on tonight, but really picking up for everybody as we head towards your Tuesday. But for today, mid-60s, mostly cloudy rain showers, and that south wind getting up to about 5 to 10 miles per hour. The hourly forecast moving forward, clouds today, chances for rain showers. Temperature is in the 60s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Janessa?
Thank you, Devin. Still to come here this morning, Jack Webb with sports. Don't go away.
Purple Co is open and here to stay. Come join a growing community of like-minded people with monthly events, arts and concerts, daily deals, and the best products and prices in the state. Plus, don't miss Purple Co Bangor's annual party on 4/18. Now with 4 locations from Portland to Bangor. Come check us out today.
You're getting ripped off. Criminals overbill Maine Care. They even charge for fake services, and Janet Mills let it happen. I'm Jonathan Bush. I've built systems that stopped fraud and abuse and saved customers millions. As governor, I'll audit every program and reduce that waste and fraud. Politicians and lobbyists don't have what it takes to clean up this corruption, but I do. I'm Jonathan Bush. Let's shake up Augusta.
I once told Sam, if you wanted to grow his department store chain, offer lower prices every day. No, I didn't invent discount pricing, but we did invent something better, Dorsey's Red Tag Clearance.
Look for red tags store-wide at Dorsey's. The tags mean you'll save an additional 10 to 50% off Dorsey's already discounted prices. Exceptional values like these won't last long.
Remember, these can save you hundreds. Live beautifully, my friends.
Need a safe and caring place for your loved one during the day? At the Merchant Center Adult Day program, we provide a supportive environment where adults can enjoy companionship, engaging activities, and personalized care in a setting that feels like home. Our experienced staff is committed to meeting each person's unique needs while promoting independence, dignity, and overall well-being. Families can feel confident knowing their loved ones are in compassionate, capable hands.
Purple Co is open and here to stay. Come join a growing community of like-minded people with monthly events, arts and concerts, daily deals, and the best products and prices in the state. Plus, don't miss Purple Co Bangor's annual party on 4/18. Now with 4 locations from Portland to Bangor. Come check us out today.
Men's lacrosse head coach and 2026 North Atlantic Conference champion, Mike O'Neill. Mike, thanks so much for joining me here today. And we brought you in because of the season you guys had, right? First, I want to start with that championship here. What was that, a couple weekends ago? Beating Maine Maritime 16-12 in the final. I mean, you guys have been close, but how good did it feel to finally get over the hump for you and your team?
Well, first of all, they're a great team. They're a great team. They're well coached. They have some outstanding athletes, and you know, we certainly were hopeful that we could be competitive, but as I say, hope is not a strategy, you know, and so you know, we kind of improved all along, you know, during the season, and just had a great weekend, and certain things fell our way, and we were ultimately successful.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of Maine Maritime, that final game of the regular season, which determined the seeding, right? Where was the tournament going to be held? It didn't go your guys' way. What sticks out to me was that 8-goal third quarter from MMA that kind of helped them pull away. And I want to know, what were the conversations like after that game, right? There's so much energy. There's so much excitement. You know, it gets built up so much, you know, a regular season finale like that, and for it to go that way, and then for you guys to turn around and be able to bounce back, right? What were those conversations like, and how'd your team respond, you know, to that loss?
Well, first of all, in the regular season, going into that, we were the 1 seed and they were the 2 seed. But they came out and just spanked us. You know, they really crushed us, and you know, they were definitely the better team. But it's very hard to play the same team twice in a season, and I think that was a major factor, you know, and we, you know, we were just determined, and you know, it was a tough schedule, you know, for the championship. It was a Saturday-Sunday situation where, you know, we wanted to go, you know, Friday, Sunday, but you know, the third seed Delhi didn't want to do that because they're driving 9 hours, and so it just worked out, and I think we were pretty lucky, and I think we're very thankful that it all worked out our way.
No doubt. And as for your team, you know, what was the difference? You got here in 2021. You guys have been close, but haven't gotten over the hump like we talked about. What do you think the difference was this year?
Well, you know, candidly, I inherited a dumpster fire. Okay, I mean, my team had barely a 2.0 GPA. I had 17 players, no goalie when I got here. You know, let's not kid anybody. It was pretty rough.
Yeah.
but we recruited hard, and we got some amazing kids, and we were able to bring our team GP up over a 3.5. The kids that we have now are pretty outstanding. Kieran Field, who's our leading scorer, he had 101 points this year. He had 87 goals.
Wow.
And he's the 4th leading scorer in the country in Division III. So, those kind of players don't grow on trees, and we're pretty lucky to have him.
Yeah, certainly. That's an outstanding job by you and your staff. And I think just you look at Husson Athletics as a whole, right? This spring, baseball, softball, both lacrosses. How much does the athletic program and what they pour into it and how serious they take it? How much does that help you recruiting wise?
Well, first of all, in all college athletics, this has been a very challenging year. A lot of small schools have closed their doors, and so this past year, budgets have tightened, and I think our administration has done an incredible job looking ahead and making Husson sustainable. As I say, in small college athletics, they're culling the herd. These small schools are closing, and so we've had certain challenges in that way. But overall, we talk about our men's baseball team, our women's softball team, our women's lacrosse team, and our men's lacrosse team. All 4 of those teams, they all have over 3.5 GPA. Those kids are working really hard in their schoolwork. Plus, we've had an incredibly snowy,
no doubt,
spring.
Yeah.
And you combine that challenges with their requirement to fundraise to make things work. I think have led to some really driven athletes and coaches.
Love that, Coach. Thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after the break.
Kirk Fisher is a motorcycle attorney with first responder experience. He protects fellow riders and those in danger, fighting fires and fighting for your rights. Experienced, determined, and dedicated. Iron Horse Motorcycle Lawyers. Look for motorcycles, or Kirk Fisher will be looking for you.
It's mowing season. And Bad Boy Mowers has the best lineup in the game. Built to win with more power, advanced engineering, and performance that never quits. Whether you're playing on this field or this field. So this mowing season, raise your game and join the team. Bad Boy, mow with an attitude.
Think you know Robert Charles? Think again. While President Trump was crushing the woke left, DC insider Bob Charles was cashing in, making millions holding lucrative contracts with the woke DEI Never Trump Obama administration. Bob Charles, looking the other way, abandoning the MAGA movement, working for liberal DEI-loving Democrats, failing President Trump. Anything for a buck chuck can't be trusted. Trump traitor Robert Charles, woke, radical, wrong. Just too liberal for Maine.
I'm Deborah Norville, and this is The Perfect Line. Arrange these holidays, these historic firsts, these animals by weight.
I have no idea.
Weekdays at 10 on Fox 22.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, today we are joined by Christine Henry, and you are basically the operator, the sole operator of Mainly Zen. Thank you so much for coming in and joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So a little bit of background information. What exactly is Mainly Zen? Obviously, it's yoga, and you teach yoga. But what kinds of classes do you teach over there?
So Mainly Zen is it's kind of a twofold. Like I have a social media presence, and I also have a studio in downtown Bangor.
Okay, very fun.
Where we teach I teach classes.
Yes.
So it's really a place to just come in and slow down.
Yeah.
Connect with yourself, and just through yoga, through breath work, and a little botanical wellness.
Oh, well, that sounds very enjoyable for all. And then you guys have, going on right now actually, is the Strength and Softness 4-week series left in May. You guys have been doing this. How many classes are left for that, and what do those kind of entail?
We have 2 left.
Okay.
So this Wednesday and the last Wednesday of May.
Okay.
And it's like, so strength and softness, right? We're trying to find strength in the body and softness with everything that we do.
In the mind.
In the mind, relaxing, and, you know, again, still building strength as we're
of course.
As we're relaxing and settling our nervous system. I do a lot of work with the nervous system.
Of course. And you told me before too that a lot of these classes are beginner friendly, and you kind of like to meet people where they're at. What does kind of the beginner classes look like? Can they just come in? Do they have to sign up? What's the deal with that?
I like people to sign up because my classes are quite small, so it's a more intimate setting. But I offer so many different modifications. It's kind of crazy, actually. So even, you know, we do try to sit on the floor. I have bolsters and blocks, and we just start slow and smooth and breathing and feeling into the body. And as we go, I might change it all the way through just to make it adaptable for each different person.
Well, that makes sense because some people may have never done yoga before, so that's helpful that you kind of can switch it up. But maybe someone who has done yoga but still wants to come, maybe they know a little bit more about it, so 2 people on different levels can come to the same class and do different things. So I think that's wonderful. And why do you recommend yoga? What do you love about it?
Just giving everyone a chance to breathe, stop and pause and connect. Like we're so busy running in this direction and that direction, it really gives us a chance to slow down and connect again with ourselves.
In the body.
And I mean, even moving, you know, stretching, getting breath into different spots of the body.
Well, it's so important for everyone to do that. And for people who maybe want to try one of your classes or come to one this Wednesday or next Wednesday and take their stab at it this month, where can people go to get more information, whether that's a website or your social media?
Yes, I have mainlyzen.com. And you can Google me.
Okay, perfect.
You know, Facebook, I have a Facebook presence, and it's pretty easy to find me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming in and sharing this with us, and I hope you have a bunch of success with your business.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. We're going to turn things over to meteorologist Devin Biggs.
Alrighty, Janessa, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Old Town Redemption Center, now offering a 10% bonus on your returnables and a monthly $100 drawing. Alrighty, here we go. Wave height's not looking too bad at around 2 feet according to the buoys. We have no advisories in effect along the coast or even on land either, so we're looking pretty good this morning. We just have some clouds developing, so we will have clouds today, and we're watching some rain showers that's developing as well. Even a few lightning bolts with this wave of rain too. We will just have rain showers today with temperatures overall that will be in the 60s. A little bit more fanfare across parts of the Midwest this morning. Meanwhile, for us today, we will have clouds, some rain showers developing. We'll lose some of the clouds overnight, although we will be partly cloudy overnight. Some opportunities for some fog overnight as well. As we head towards your Tuesday, some rain to the north, showers showers and thunderstorms for us later on into the daytime period too. Now as we head towards Tuesday night into parts of Wednesday, again, clouds not looking too bad. Notice some rain across the northwestern parts of the state by early Wednesday morning. Now through Tuesday, notice there is a light green shade right here. That is a marginal threat for some of the storms that get on the stronger side. Gusty winds and hail not out of the question for the areas highlighted and not light green. Meanwhile, moving forward, a lot of rainfall throughout the week as well. Mainly areas that could see around a ½ inch to even over an inch possible between now and Thursday possible throughout the week. So we will be keeping an eye on that. Meanwhile, I haven't dug out the muggy meter in a while. It's going to get a little humid coming up Tuesday into parts of Wednesday. We'll have some dew points getting up into the mid-60s. We haven't talked about that in a while, but that will be coming up for us. But coming up for today, here we go. We have mid-60s, mostly cloudy, some rain showers, and that south wind getting up to about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Overnight, partly cloudy, areas of dense fog with lows in the upper 40s, and that south breeze at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then for tomorrow, scattered showers and some thunderstorms. Look at this high temperature. Upper 80s on the way, and that south wind getting up to about 20 miles per hour. And let's check out your extended forecast for your Wednesday. More showers and thunderstorms, highs in the mid 80s. Warm again, low 60s. We cool off Thursday, cold front passing through under a mostly sunny sky. Partly cloudy coming up Friday with highs in the mid-60s.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
Everyone deserves to be connected. Big cities, small towns, everywhere in between. And staying connected shouldn't break the bank. That's why T-Mobile and US Cellular have joined forces. And now that we've combined networks, T-Mobile covers more places than ever before. America's best network just got bigger. Join now and your plan price is guaranteed for 5 years. T-Mobile and US Cellular, better together.
They say Maine is one small town with really long driveways. When we faced our toughest challenge in years, I was honored you let me into your homes. You trusted me to keep us safe, and together, we stood up to Donald Trump's lies about public health. I'm Nirav Shah, and I'm running for governor to bring that same results-driven approach to deliver for all Mainers. As governor, I'll run toward our biggest challenges: fixing housing, funding healthcare, and fighting Donald Trump.
Nirav Shah, governor.
You know Matt pretty well. Did he give you any advice?
He said that I should use 26 words or more.
When every word counts.
Trash panda.
Raccoon.
You had me a trash panda. That was gangster.
It pays to choose wisely.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
You just won it!
25 words or less every weekday.
Weekdays at 9 on Fox 22.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
Two officers in Colorado helped a very unusual passerby, which of course was a beaver. The Firestone Police Department shared the video of the moments officers had to use some creativity to move the beaver off the roadway. The video shows how the large animal didn't really want to move despite agents' efforts to call his attention. It wasn't until one of the officers pulled a traffic cone to prompt him to move. Officials say the animal was about 16 inches tall and weighed between 35 to 45 pounds. Well, a sheriff's deputy in Tennessee stops traffic for a family of geese. Rutherford County Patrol Corporal Scott Parker saw the geese trying to cross the roadway in Laverne on April 21st. Parker used a traffic slowing maneuver to allow the 2 adult geese and 6 goslings to safely cross. Parker says drivers did not seem to mind that little pause, and Laverne is about 130 miles northwest of Chattanooga. A special delivery at the Berlin Zoo. It's a tiny and rare pygmy hippopotamus. She was born this month at the zoo, weighing about 13 pounds, and she's already gaining some weight. The zoo said that pygmy hippos like to be alone, and the mom, Debbie, will probably raise the calf on her own. The new baby hippo has yet to be named. Well, that's all the time that we have left for this morning, but as always, we thank you for joining us. Have a great day, everyone.
Today on 25 Words or Less, she starred in the reboot of Dynasty, where she proved that some dynasties should just be allowed to die. It's Elaine Hendricks. And joining Elaine are neighbours Edie and Sumi. She's reached that rare level of success where she doesn't have to audition anymore. That's right, even the casting director